The morning of August 24th, 79 AD began like any other in the Roman town of Misenum. It was sunny, warm, and peaceful. 17-year-old Pliny the Younger was following his usual routine, studying lessons assigned by his uncle and tutors and writing letters. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, was a well-respected official in the Roman court and commander of the naval fleet stationed in the Bay of Naples. Life in Misenum seemed calm, especially after several weeks of unsettling tremors that had shaken buildings and frightened the locals. On that particular morning, people were relieved to have a quiet day. They went about their lives, shopping in the market, working in the fields, and hauling goods at the docks. After a productive morning of study, both Pliny the Younger and his uncle retreated indoors to escape the afternoon heat and rest in the shade. But that peaceful moment didn't last long. Pliny's mother noticed something strange across the bay. A cloud rising above Mount Vesuvius. It wasn't just any cloud. It was tall, towering, and shaped like an umbrella pine, with a thick trunk and branches of smoke swirling high into the sky. Pliny the Elder immediately understood this was no ordinary event. As a Roman official, he felt obligated to investigate. While he was preparing a ship and organizing a crew, he received a message from a friend who was stranded near the base of the volcano. That changed everything. It was no longer just an investigation. It became a rescue mission. He told Pliny the Younger to stay behind and look after his mother, then set out across the bay. But as his ship approached the shore near Vesuvius, small pumice stones began falling from the sky, and ash started to blanket the sea. Fires burned across the mountain slopes, some as high as 100 feet. Despite the danger, Pliny managed to land and reach his friend's house. That night they stayed indoors, hoping that by morning the skies would clear and the worst would be over. But morning never came. The sky remained dark, as black and gray as midnight. The falling stones became more frequent, and the ash more intense. People tied pillows to their heads in a desperate attempt to shield themselves from the hail of debris as they rushed to the shoreline, hoping to escape by boat. But the sea had turned wild. Waves crashed violently, and there was no way to launch the ship. Then, the ash grew thicker, falling like a suffocating snowstorm. Toxic gas filled the air. Pliny the Elder, unable to breathe, collapsed and died on the shore. Meanwhile, the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum were being buried alive. Ash fell in heavy layers, more than 9 feet deep in places, encasing everything in a hardened shell. The heat and pressure preserved the shapes of buildings, objects, and even the bodies of the people who didn't make it out. Those who survived shared horrifying stories. People and animals choked to death on poisonous gas. Fires tore down the mountain. The sea vanished from the bay, only to come crashing back in a devastating tsunami. Those who escaped the eruption drowned in the floodwaters. Back in Misenum, survivors returned with the news of Pliny the Elder's death. His nephew, Pliny the Younger, documented what he saw and what others had witnessed. He sent 2 detailed letters to the Roman historian Tacitus. These letters remain the only first-hand accounts of the eruption we have today. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius claimed over 1,000 lives and wiped 2 entire cities off the map. At first, the memory of the disaster lived on, but as generations passed, the story faded. That is, until 1738, when workers digging the foundation for a summer palace for the King of Naples uncovered something extraordinary. Perfectly preserved artwork, jewelry, and walls beneath the earth. They had rediscovered Herculaneum. A few years later, excavations began at another site believed to be the lost city of Pompeii. Not only were entire streets and buildings still standing, but archaeologists also found strange voids in the hardened ash, holes where something had once been, but now was gone. An Italian archaeologist, Giuseppe Fiorelli, realized these were likely spaces left by decayed bodies. He developed a method of injecting plaster into the voids. What emerged were eerie, ghost-like forms, people frozen in the exact poses in which they died. Some were so detailed, you could even see the eyelashes on their faces. By the 1760s, visiting Pompeii had become fashionable among wealthy Europeans on their grand tour. Today, nearly 3 million people visit the ruins every year, fascinated by a tragedy that turned into one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Excavations continue to this day, and scientists have uncovered incredible details about the people who once lived there. They were healthy, even the servants, well-nourished, with nearly perfect teeth. The cities had advanced plumbing, clean water systems, and high standards of hygiene. Because the ash fell so quickly, killing people and preserving their surroundings at the same time, Pompeii and Herculaneum remain among the best-preserved snapshots of daily life in the ancient world. What began as a sudden, violent disaster has become one of our greatest historical windows into the Roman Empire.